Good morning, cadets. Yes, we should start now, or shall we wait for some more boys?
Start.
Yes,
It's nice. Yes,
I should start. So,
yes, sir.
shall I share the textbook, or you have got the textbook? You tell me. Shall
Share
I
it.
share the textbook with you? Okay, I'm sharing the textbook now. Yes, can you see? Can you just tell me where we have stopped now? Page number. So here, which page? Yes. We have been discussing about whom? About general. Yes. Now, what is decided? That general said that I'll be sending the whom? I'll be sending, he says, I'll be sending assassins, private assassins, isn't it? It would be best if he could be quietly killed. And there's a kind of plot, there's a kind of conspiracy, there's a kind of plan that the general comes out with. And what is that plan? That he has private assassins, and those private assassins he will send it. So that is the plan. And those two assassins, when they enter the house, they will quietly kill this American soldier. So this is what is the plan there, isn't it? So we have discussed about that particular plan of general. Now general feels that Sadao is indispensable. Why Sadao is indispensable? Because he was a very good surgeon. He trusted him. He could not trust remaining all others. He couldn't trust German doctors. So he says, I have very capable assassins. I have very capable killers. They will not make any noise. And they know the risk of inward bleeding. If you like, I can even have them remove the body. So they will come, and what they'll do, they will do it such a way that there won't be much bleeding there outside. And if you want that, I will even remove the body also of that American soldier after killing.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Am I not audible? Yes.
Also,
Somebody speaking? Yes. Tell me any problem? Shall I go ahead?
yes, sir.
Yes, boys.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Kaushal, right. So I'll follow Kaushal now. Right, Kaushal Yadav. Very good.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, you say I'll carry on. Okay. So what we have seen earlier, we were just discussing about general's plan that he would send private assassins and he would get killed this American soldier. So there won't be any problem at all. That is what even Dr. Sadao feels because he's worried about Hana and he's worried that the servants had left. A day might come when it would be informed to the police and they would be in trouble and their children would be also in trouble. So when he thinks about all that and when General tells about this plan, he agrees to that. Sadao considered that perhaps would be best, Excellency. He agreed and thinking of Anna. So he was thinking of Anna and he said that that would be the right thing of quietly killing this American soldier who happened to be their enemy. He left the general's presence then, so he left that room, then went home thinking over the plan. So what is the plan? Plan of killing the American soldier, his enemy. In this way, the whole thing would be taken out of his hands. So he would not be responsible for that at all, of killing of the American soldier. He would tell Hannah nothing, since she would be timid at the idea of assassins in the house. So assassins entering in the house, assassins remaining in the house. So she would be scared. So she would be scared of that. And just a minute, I can see many boys are waiting there in the lobby. Okay, I'll just try to admit all of them. Right. Okay. So right. Yes, we were discussing about this. That quietly, if the killers come, then Sadao feels that that would be the right thing to do. But he decides that he will not tell anything to Hana because Hana would be scared when she comes to know that the killers are going to enter their house and they are going to carry out this killing. So she would be scared. So that is what is the worry for Sadao, and that's the reason. Okay, Sadao thinks that he will not tell about this plan to his wife Hana. Okay, now let's move on to the next now. Right. Since she would be timid at the idea of assassins in the house, it certainly see some boys are now they're joining and again. Okay, Harish. Okay, okay, right. Yes, certainly, surely, such persons were essential in an absolute state such as Japan was. So these kind of killers were required. And the rulers, how else could rulers deal with those who oppose them? And what has happened in Russia? There's a no allegation that the opposition leaders were targeted. And that is what has happened in Afghanistan also. The opposition leaders who are there, they are being targeted. Okay. So in some of the countries, we see the opposition leaders being targeted. So here, if they if there is a opposition, what they should do, how they can get it, yes, how can they get rid of them by keeping these assassins, by keeping these private assassins. He thinks about that. He refused to allow anything, but reason, see, it's absolute state, he says, because it's the king who was ruling that state, that yes, country, Japan. So he refused to allow anything but reason to be the atmosphere of his mind as he went into the room where the American was in bed. So he was thinking about now this American soldier is going to be killed. He was the one who had saved this man. He was the one who rescued him. And now you see, he has become a part of that conspiracy. The general is going to send his private assassins and he's going to get killed. Yes?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, tell.
Sir, Prashant is waiting in lobby, sir.
So I'm just seeing that some of them are waiting in the lobby. Yes. Yes. Have they joined? I think they have all joined. Right. Okay, I admitted that. Okay, so we'll just go on with this one. So Japanese, what they are doing here now in the case of Japanese, yes. Now he talks about the rulers there. He talks about all that. Yes. Now the general is going to send whom? He's going to send the private assassins. So since the general is going to send the private assassins, now he's worried. Who is worried now? Yes, Sadao is worried very much about that. So here, now it says, but as he opened the door to his surprise, he found the young man out of bed. So he found that it's all right. This young soldier is quite all right. And preparing to go into the garden. He wants to go out in the garden. And he says, yes, what is this? So here he wants to go there in the garden. Who wants to go to the garden? This American soldier Tom. He wants to go to there in the garden. Now here when he wants to go there in the garden, now see here, what is this exclaiming? Who gave you permission to leave your room? Yes? Who gave you permission to go there in the garden? Who has given you that permission to go into the garden? Right. So, but as he opened the door, to his surprise, he found the young man out of bed and preparing to go into the garden. What is this? Exclaimed, who gave you permission to leave your room? Okay, let's move on to next. See, I'm just getting the call from sixth class boys, so that's the reason. Bit okay. I've just repeated this. I'll just go to the next one now. Now here, ah, your friends are again and again joining. Yes, I'll just Kunal Bhatti. Right. I'm not used to waiting for permission. Remember here. Who gave you permission to leave your room? And this American, what does it say? Whose permission I require? I'm not used to waiting for permission. Tom said gaily, very happily. Gay means what? Happy here. So you know the meaning of this word gay, happy. So here he was quite happy. Tom was quite happy and happily said, I need not take anybody's permission. Because I feel pretty good again. I feel very happy again. Pretty means what here? Very. Pretty, it has got, pretty means beautiful, but here it has got the meaning that I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling very good. But will the muscles on this side always feel stiff? So the muscles which are there on this side, they are quite stiff. They are quite hard. The muscles are quite hard, which are there on this particular side. Is it so? Sadao inquired, surprised. He forgot all else. So he forgot about the plan. He forgot about the conspiracy. Now I thought I had provided against that. Now I thought I had provided against that. He murmured. He lifted the edge of the man's shirt and gazed at the healing. So you just look at the spot, the injury, or the bullet which had pierced through. So that healing scar, that scar massage may do it. So if it's a stiff, so you just do a little bit massaging and then probably you'll get rid of that. If exercise does not, if it's not exercise, then massaging will definitely help you so that that stiffness will go down. It won't bother me much. So it will not trouble me much. So the young man said, so it won't trouble me much. Won't? It will not bother me. It will not trouble me much. His young face was gaunt. No, his young face was quite weak. No, gaunt means what? Very weak. Under the stubbly blonde beard. So here, stubbly blonde beard. So beard here and here, here and there. That here on his golden face. Blonde beard. So blonde hair, golden. It is referring to the hair there. So golden colored here, grown here and there.
Sir,
Stubbly,
stubbly
not
means what, sir?
much there. Say, doctor, I have got something I want to say to you. Doctor,
Sir,
I want to
stubbly
say
means
something
what,
to
sir?
you. If I hadn't made a jap like you, if I
Sir,
hadn't made a
stubbly means
jap
what?
like you, see here, I hadn't made past perfect, very important for UPSC. Past perfect. If I hadn't made a Jap like you, Japanese like you, well, I wouldn't be alive today. I would not be alive today. If if I would have met some other Japanese, what would happen? They would have killed me. I know that. I know that. I have met you, doctor. You are totally different kind of person. And that's what he says. Sadao bowed, but he could not speak. Because, see, probably guilty consciousness. He has become a part of that conspiracy. The general made a plan. He has become a part of that conspiracy. So now that guilty consciousness will definitely be there. And he couldn't speak. Sadao bowed. So he agreed to that, but he could not speak. Sure, I know that. Tom went on warmly. His big thin hands gripping a chair were white at the knuckles. So knuckles, so joints there in the fingers, there knuckles. So a chair were grip white at the knuckles. Were probably overuse of that. I guess if all the Japs were like you, if all the Japanese were like you, see, in the case of Japanese, after Hiroshima bombing and all, they have changed a lot. But before that, we have seen them very ruthless, very merciless. The attack on Pearl Harbor, the attack on Pearl Harbor. That's the reason why America entered into Second World War. Otherwise, America was avoiding to enter into the Second World War. But they bombed Pearl Harbor, and what has happened after that? We know that Americans also bombed two cities of Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And the rest is the history. If I guess if all the Japs were like you, there wouldn't have been a war, perhaps. Sadao said with difficulty. And now I think you had better go back to bed. So Sadao doesn't want to talk about that. He says you better go to bed. Probably, he's thinking probably kind of attachment he must have developed. He's patient. He has rescued him. He has saved him. And now see, his patient, his life is at stake. He helped the boy back into bed and then bowed. Good night, he said. Bowed means bent down. Sadao slept badly that night. Time and time again. Yes, just a minute. Ah, ah. Yes, time and time again, what has happened? He woke, thinking thinking he heard the rustling of footsteps. Now, why rustling of footsteps there? Yes, why? Footsteps of whom? So he was expecting the footsteps.
Assassins.
He was expecting the footsteps of the killers,
Assassins.
steps of the assassins. The sound of a twig, small branch, broken. So he was thinking about that. He was thinking that those killers would come, those assassins would come. So somewhere rustling of the leaves or that footsteps. So here noise, that sound when they are stepping, the sound of a twig broken or a stone displaced in the garden. So he was waiting for all that as if he heard all that. A noise such as man might make who carried a burden. So there was a burden on them. What was that? Of killing. So they were supposed to carry out the killing. And have they come? He's thinking about that. Only he's thinking about those assassins. He's a bit worried about that. The next morning, he made the excuse to go first into the guest room. So next morning, he had made a excuse. So he wants to go there in the guest room. If the American were gone, he then could simply tell Anna that so the general had died. If the American had gone, if the soldier had gone, then he can just tell Anna that since the general had directed, that is the reason why it has all happened. But when he opened the door, he saw at once that there on the pillow was a shaggy blonde head. So shaggy means what? Very hairy, full of yes, blonde hair on the head, golden hair on the head. So that means what? That American soldier was there, and what he was expecting? He was expecting that probably at night the killers had come because he had heard rustling of footsteps. We probably in his unconscious mind he was thinking about all that. He was imagining about all that. Actually, the killers had not come there because the American soldier was there, and he just thought that if he is not there, then what he would tell that Hana that the general had given direction, and probably the American prisoner must have been killed. He could hear the peaceful breathing of sleep, so he was peacefully breathing. There was no problem at all. He was alive very much, and peacefully he was sleeping. He closed the door again quietly. He's asleep, he told Hannah. He's almost well to sleep like that. So he's sleeping there, he's asleep there. So he's sleeping there and quite well. There's absolutely no problem at all. What shall we do with him? Hannah whispered her old refrain. So refrain is repetition. So what shall we do with him? So again and again she has been telling the same thing. What to do with him? How can we keep in the house? Our life is at stake. Our children's life is at stake. What is to be done to him? So same refrain, same repetition. See in the case of chorus, refrain again that chorus that will be repeated. So same thing is repeated here. Again and again she's telling about that. Sadao shook his head. I must decide in a day or two. I
Sir,
have to
this
decide
is a
soon.
speed job.
Ah, so I have to decide soon what is to be done. I must decide in a day or two, he promised. But certainly thought the
What is
second
the
night
page
must
number,
be
sir?
the. Yes,
What
yes,
is the
what?
page number?
Huh?
What is the page number, sir?
See, Varun, you belong to sixth class. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Ma- you don't join this group. My dear fellow, you don't join this group. You join your class. This is meant for 12 hours. I am teaching for 12 hours. Okay, boys. So go to your group. Go to your group. You don't join my class. You join your class. Varun, can you hear me? Yes, boys. You join your class. Don't join this group. This is for class 12. I'm not teaching you. My class is over. Long back. Now I'm teaching for class 12th. Have you understood? Varun, Kiran, yes? Okay, boys. Uh, so anyway, initial hiccups will be there for these boys who are from 6th class. Okay, fine. We'll carry on with this. Yes. So here now, who is sleeping there? This American soldier is sleeping and he closed the door again quietly. So he closed the door quietly. He's asleep, he told Hannah. He's almost well to sleep like that. So he's quite well, he's quite fine. What shall we do with him? Hannah whispered her old refrain. Hannah whispered her old refrain. So repeat the same thing has been repeated by her. So Sadao shook his head. I must decide in a day or two, he promised. Okay. So now here, let's go to the next one now. But certainly thought the second night must be the night. So if not this night, second night definitely those assassins would come, those killers would come, and then definitely they would carry out whatever the plot was, whatever the plan was. Yes, I can see Mallikarjun is waiting there in the lobby. Just a minute. Okay. I'll just see if any 12, 6th class boys are there. Okay. I can't help it. All right. I won't know that who are they from 6th class in case if somebody is there from class 6th. But after this class, I'll convey to them. Okay, fine. Shall we go ahead now? Yes. So he is thinking now, tonight anyway, this American soldier has escaped the death. But it may not happen next day. It may not happen next day. Next day, definitely, he would be killed. Definitely, the assassins might come. So, second night must be the night. So, second night must be the night when these killers would come. So, he is worried over that. Yes, second night, the killers might come. So, he is worried over that. Right. But certainly thought the second night must be the night. There rose a wind that night. So the wind was rising, so it was quite windy night. He listened to the sounds of bending boughs. So the boughs, branches of the trees, they were bending, then whistling partitions. So partitions which were there, those curtains and all, they were whistling mainly because of it was a windy night. Hannah woke too. Ought we not to go and close the sick man's partition? So I can see some, yes, Alina, I think somebody is trying to join. Yes, okay. But they are not from your class, right? Okay. So here, Hannah ought to, ought we not to go? Ought we use like should? Should we not go and close a sick man's partition? Should we not close that sick man's partition? No, Sadaf said. He's able now to do it for himself. We need not do anything. And what was the yes message that was conveyed by the general? What did he say? Keep that partition open. Yes, of that particular room. So they can come through the window and they can carry out their act of killing. No, Sadhu said, he's able now to do it for himself. So it's quite all right. You need not worry about that. Because he had hatched up a plan with General. But the next morning, the American was still there. He thought that second night, yes, he would be killed. It has not happened. Then the third night, of course, must be the night. Now he thinks it may be the third night. It may be the next night. The wind changed to quiet rain. So it was raining and the garden was full of what? Full of the sound of dripping eaves and running. See, dripping eaves. Eaves is what? Overhanging of the. See here, can you see here? Overhanging of what? Overhanging of. the roof. So here, this is a roof. Can you see this roof? So overhanging of the roof. So this one overhanging of the roof is called eaves. So what was dripping? Dripping eaves. So from the eaves, that overhanging roof, from the eaves, what was water was dropping. So what was dropping? Water was dropping. So dripping. Dripping is what? Dropping. Drip is the verb form of drop. Drip is the verb form of drop. So we don't say dropping. See, rather than that, we say dripping. Right? So water droplets were dripping. And running springs. Sadav slept a little better. So Sadav, probably it was raining. Heavy rain was there. What was dropping? Windy night. So running springs. So springs, fountains, they were all, water flow was there. Sadav slept a little better, but he woke at the sound of a crash and leapt to his feet. Suddenly, he got up. Suddenly got up. And why? Because there was a sound of a crash. Sudden crash sound was there. Sudden sound of a crash was there. Since sudden sound of a crash was there, he leapt to his feet. He jumped up to his feet. He leapt to his feet. What was that, Hannah cried? The baby woke at her voice and began to wail, began to cry. I must go and see. But he held her. Why he held her? Because he was thinking that probably the assassins were there in that room. Probably they must have killed. Probably something must have happened there. Would not let her move. Sadao, she cried, what is the matter with you? What is wrong with you? Don't go. He murmured, don't go. His terror, great fear. What is terror? It was quite terrifying. It was a great fear. What is terror? Terror, horror. It's synonymous words. Great fear, terror. So his terror infected her, and she stood breathless, waiting. There was only silence. Together they crept back into the bed, the baby between them. So together they slowly moved back into the bed. The baby was between them. Yet when you opened the door of the guest room in the morning, there was the young man. He was very gay. He was very happy. No, in a very happy mood. And had already washed. So he had taken bath, already washed, and was now on his feet. He had asked for a razor yesterday and had shaved himself. And today there was a faint color in his cheeks. So one can see the faint color there. Yes, in his cheeks there. I am well, I'm quite fine. So clean shaven. He said joyously. Sadao drew his kimono. So we have seen what is kimono. Yes, we have seen that kimono. What is kimono there? Overgarment there.
Yes, sir.
So Japanese dress there. So kimono round his very body. Now his body, see, tired body, exhausted body, thinking about the plan. He doesn't know what will happen to this man, whether he would be killed and all. So, because of that tension, because of that exhaustion, very tired body of Sadao. So, he drew his kimono around his body. Then he could not. Decided suddenly go through another night. So he cannot wait one more night. Now this man will be killed. The assassins would be sent, the killers would be sent, and he would be. It was not that he cared for this young man's life. No, simply it was not worth the strain. So somehow he didn't feel that tension that was mounting. Probably he was feeling that exhaustion, that strain that he was feeling, the pain that he was feeling. Probably he wanted to get rid of that. Probably he was feeling kind of guilty consciousness and he wanted to get rid of that. The person whose life was rescued, now he had become a part of that conspiracy where he was going, he was allowing the killers to kill this Japanese soldier, this American soldier. You are well, Sadao agreed. He lowered his voice. So you are fine now. You are so well that I think if I put my boot on the shoe. So now the plan of Sadao. So how, see, this is very, very important. How this American soldier escapes. It's about the escape plan now. We are coming to the end or we are coming to the climax. So end of the story we are coming here. So you are so well that I think if I put my boat on the shore, so if I keep my boat there on the shore tonight with food and extra clothing in it, you might be able to row to that little island. So there's a little island, there's a small island there nearby. not far from the coast. So take the help of the boat. I'll be keep the boat there. And what is he going to keep inside the boat? That also tells. It is so near the coast that it has not been worth fortifying. So since it has been quite near, to the coast. So that's why the defense has not been built by the Japanese. So there's no problem at all. You'll be quite safe there in that island. Nobody lives on it because in storm it gets submerged. It gets submerged during the storm, and that's why nobody lives there. But this is not the season of storm, so now there's no problem at all. You can remain there in that particular island. You could live there until you saw a Korean fishing boat. So when you see the Korean fishing boat pass by, then you can just signal them and you can escape from there. So they pass quite near the island because the water is many fathoms deep there. So near the island, the water is quite deep, many fathoms. When we talk about the depth, we talk in the unit of fathom. So many fathoms deep there the water is. So you need not worry about that. So the Korean fishing boat will be coming quite close to the shore there to that in that island. So you can remain there in the island quite safely there. You can escape from here. Young man stared at him slowly, comprehending, understanding the situation. Do I have to go? So do I have to? I think so. Sadao said gently. You understand. It is not hidden that you are here. It is not hidden. The servants know that. Now even the general has come to know about that. And your life will be at stake. In time you will be killed. So that's why even Sadao feels that he should leave as early as possible. The young man nodded in perfect comprehension. The young man nodded. He agreed to that. He understood the situation. And when he understood the circumstances, the situations, he also agreed to that plan, what Sadao had made a plan. So Sadao had made a plan, kind of escape. So how he can escape? He can use the boat there. He can go to the island, which was quite near to the shore of this Japanese show. Sadao did not see him again until evening. So until evening, he did not go to his room. He did not meet him. See him here, he did not meet him. As soon as it was dark, he had dragged the stout boat down to the shore. So that was quite big boat. Stout means fat, but stout here means quite big. So what was quite big? Now he dragged that boat. So he dragged that boat to the shore, and in that boat he has put food and bottled water that he had bought secretly during the day, as well as two quilts, two blankets, no, the rug. So two blankets, so that even if it's quite cold, he need not worry about that. He had bought secretly during the day. So as well as two quilts he had bought at pawn shop. So a shop where small things are available there. The boat he tied to a post in the water, for the tide was high, there was no moon, and he worked without a flashlight. So he's working there at night. So sees that, yes, when he came to the house, he entered as though he was just back from his work. And so Anna knew nothing. Yumi was here today, she said, as she served his supper. So Yumi had come to the house as she served his supper. So she was serving dinner, and she tells about Yumi. Though she was so modern, still she did not eat with him. She was quite modern, but even then she was very conservative. She did not eat with her husband. They ate separately. Yumi cried over the baby. She went on, she continued with a sigh. She misses him so. So she is missing the baby very much, and that is the reason why Yumi had come. The servants will come back as soon as the foreigner is gone. Once the foreigner goes, once this American soldier goes, immediately the servants will come. He was quite sure. He went into the guest room that night before he went to bed himself and checked carefully the American's temperature, the state of the wound. So he had checked the injury that he had. So how's the wound, whether it is held up, his heart and pulse, temperature. The pulse was irregular, but that was perhaps because of excitement. So he was quite excited, probably because he was saved. The young man's pale lips were pressed together and his eyes burned. Only the scars on his neck were red. Only those injury marks which were there on the neck, they were quite reddish. I realize you are saving my life again, he told Sadhu. I realize now that you are trying to save my life. Not at all. It's only inconvenient to have you here any longer. It's quite inconvenient that you are remaining in the house, he frankly tells him. But actually, he's trying to save his life. But he doesn't want to openly tell him. He had hesitated a good deal about giving the man a flashlight. But he had decided to give it to him after all. So, what he is giving? He is giving a flashlight. It was a small one, his own, which he used at night when he was cold. So it was his own flashlight he was giving to this American soldier. And he says, if your food runs out before you catch a boat, he said, signal me two flashes. At the same instant, at the same moment, the sun drops over the horizon. Do not signal in darkness, for it will be seen. So when you should signal, so when the sun drops there, at the dusk, you should signal, for it will be seen, or if you do it in the darkness, it will be seen. If you're all right, but still there, signal me once. You will find fresh fish easy to catch, but you must eat them raw. So if you remain for more time, then try to catch fish. A fire would be seen. That's why you have to eat raw fish. Okay, the young man breathed. So the plan is there for escape now. He was dressed now in the Japanese clothes which Sadao had given him, and at the last moment, Sadao wrapped a black cloth about his blond head, about his golden head. Now, Sadao said, the young American, without a word, shook Sadao's hand warmly. So, shake hand. He is now leaving. And then walked quite well across the floor and down the step into the darkness of the garden. So, he's leaving the house now. Once, twice, Sadao saw his light flash to find his way, but that would not be suspected. He waited until from the shore there was one more flash. Then he closed the partition. That night he slept. Now what has happened? You say the man escaped, the general asked faintly. Now you see the general. Now here the general says the man has escaped. He had been operated upon a week before. An emergency operation to which Sadao had been called in the night. For 12 hours, Sadao had not been sure the general would leave. The gallbladder was much involved. Then the old man had begun to breathe deeply again and to demand food. Sadao had not been able to ask about the assassins because his life was at stake. General, I mean, he had carried out the operation on general. So he did not inquire about the assassin. So far as he knew, they had never come. He knew that they had never come. The servants had returned. Yumi had cleaned the guest room thoroughly, completely, and had burned sulfur in it to get the white man's smell out of it. Nobody said anything. Only the gardener was cross. Only the gardener was angry because he had got behind with his chrysanthemums. So chrysanthemums, that flower plant is flowering plant. That's chrysanthemum. But after a week, Sadao felt the general was well enough to be spoken to about the prison. Yes, Excellency, he escaped, Sadao now said. So it reveals to him that he has escaped. He coughed, signifying that he had not said all he might have said, but was unwilling to disturb the general further. But the old man opened his eyes suddenly. That prisoner, he said with some energy. So that prisoner you are talking about, see now a great sense of gratitude. See, did I not promise you? So the prisoner, he said with some energy, did I not promise you I would kill him for you? For your sake, I would kill him. I promised you, isn't it? So he says about that, yes, you did, Excellency, Sadao said. Well, well, the old man said in a tone of amazement. So I did, but you see, I was suffering a good deal. The truth is, I thought of nothing but myself. In short, I forgot my promise to you. So the truth is what? That I forgot the kind of promise that I had given to you. I wondered, Your Excellency, Sadao murmured. It was certainly very careless of me, the general said. But you understand, it was not lack of patriotism. or dereliction of duty. It was not negligence of duty. It's not dereliction of duty. Dereliction, negligence of duty. It was not lack of patriotism. I had promised. If the matter should come out, you would understand that, wouldn't you? Certainly, Your Excellency, Sadao said, he suddenly comprehended. Okay, I think it's going to end, but we'll just stop here because the time is up now and we can carry on with this story. The end part is there, and then a later part we'll discuss about it. Okay, uh, I'll just stop here.